Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the Packernet podcast. I am your host and resident fanalist, as always, Ryan Schlipp. Check us out online, packernet.com. Find me on Twitter, pack_daddy. All right, so this is going to be day one of the deep dive into the Pittsburgh Steelers. Today we're going to focus primarily on the roster, getting to know what they have and don't have, the injuries, all that good stuff. I suppose there's no point in delaying. So how about we just dive straight into it? They got this quarterback by the name of Aaron Rodgers. Not a super well-known commodity. Let's see, 2005 first-round pick out of California Golden Bears, apparently he played for. 6'2", 223, selected number 24 overall by the Packers. We look at it, it looks like he had like a window where he was good from about 2008 to around 2022. Window where he was really good around 2009 to 2021. Sort of an elite window from 2010 to 2020. I guess you could say 2021 also. Pretty close, 89 grade. Has been a bit of a drop-off. 2022 dropped down to a 70. Didn't play really in 2023. Actually had a 77 grade. 2024 it was again a 77 grade. So far this year, 64. All jokes aside. With that, though, is what I've been saying, and that is it seems as though there's some improvement. Now, it's hard to know whether it's just sort of a two-game thing where he was good and he's going to regress again and just kind of get back to inconsistent or whatever, or if it just took him a few games to get into a rhythm and now he's going to kind of be more consistently this. But being specific, week one against the Jets, his first revenge tour of the season, was not good. Statistically, it looked fine. 73% completion rate, 244 yards, 4 touchdowns. Looking a little bit closer, though, PFF gave him a 55 grade, a 56 passing grade, 0 big-time throws, 1 turnover-worthy play. Week 2 against Seattle, everything including the statistics, in fact, he was actually graded a little bit higher, but the statistics kind of were a little bit more reflective of what PFF was seeing. 54% completion rate, 200 yards, 6.2 yards per attempt, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. Week 3 was his worst game against New England, 139 yards, 2 touchdowns, and another pick. 35 grade, 38 passing grade. Then week 4 was his final not super great game. 200 yards and a touchdown, no interceptions, 60 grade, 67 passing. Then came Cleveland. Now, I will point out that the 2 games he played well were the last 2 weeks against Cleveland and Cincinnati. These are division rivals. Not that Rodgers necessarily has familiarity, but the Steelers do, and their ability to put guys in good situations potentially improved. Potentially. I don't know. Way more variables than we have data. That's kind of my issue. But 235 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks, 83 grade, 83 passing grade, 3 big-time throws, 0 turnover-worthy plays. Much more Rodgers-esque performance. Cincinnati, 250 yards, 4 touchdowns, 2 picks. Pretty uncharacteristic with the 2 picks, but still, PFF gave him a 77 grade, 77 passing grade. Part of that is because he actually only had 1 turnover-worthy play, despite the 2 picks, and 3 big-time throws again. Right now, 64 overall, 67 grade, 5% big-time throw rate, which is low for Rodgers. As a Packer, he only hit that low 2 times, 2009 and 2017, where he didn't even really play very much. As for his turnover-worthy play rate, it's at 3.6%. That is the highest of his career, not including his rookie year of 2006. Again, barely played, but that was the last time you saw a number that high. His career average is 2.3%. So, as of right now, he has one of his lowest big-time throw rates and his actual high turnover-worthy play rate. The big-time throw rate is surging, considering it was 10% and 8% the last 2 weeks. So that's going to rebound pretty quickly if he continues that pace. But it is the turnover-worthy play thing That is a little bit odd and certainly uncharacteristic for Rodgers, who's been ultra careful with the football. 7 turnover-worthy plays and 5 interceptions through 7 weeks, but just 6 games. Currently on track for 3,598 yards. That would be the lowest he's had in a season that he's played a full season. 2022 was actually the closest, 3,695. With that, also on track for 39 touchdowns, which is relatively high. He hasn't seen that number since 2020 when he had 53, but even then, the last time before that he had basically 40 was 2016. So pretty high touchdown number. Bear in mind, this does not include playoffs. So the yards would probably be higher, but also would be the touchdown number. But then there's interceptions where you're looking at 14. He's on track for 14. He's never thrown 14 interceptions in a season. Twice he threw 13, 2008 and 2010. Those were his highest. He's only had double digits 4 times in his entire career. 2008, 2010, he had 12 in 2022 and 11 with the Jets in 2024. Just to give an idea of how incredibly high this number is for him so far. He has 2 games already with 2 interceptions. Seattle, he threw 2 picks. Cincinnati, he threw 2 picks. Pretty uncharacteristic for Rodgers to throw a single pick, much less 2 in a game. 2018, for example, he threw 2 in a season. Looking at pressure, he's been under pressure 27% of the time, which is very low. A big part of that is his ability to get the ball out of his hand. When kept clean, on average, the ball is out in 2.25 seconds. That's extremely fast. So that's a big part of the reason the ball, that he's ended up clean as much as he has. He has a 73 grade, 76 passing grade when not under pressure. His adjusted completion rate is 80%, almost 1,000 yards, 11 touchdowns, 3 picks, so still got the interceptions. 115 passer rating. When under pressure, however, as low as that number may be, he has a 43 PFF grade, 45 passing grade. His adjusted completion rate drops from 80 to 65. Yards per attempt goes from 7.5 to 6.9. He has 3 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, which is not a typical Rodgers touchdown to interception ratio. In fact, he has 2 big-time throws and 3 turnover-worthy plays, and just a 72.5 passer rating. So very big difference. Not quite as big as you'll find with Jordan, who's playing really, really good while not under pressure. It's not the best you'll find while kept clean, but how bad he is under pressure is the entire story as far as I'm concerned. He needs to be under pressure in this game. All right, enough about Rodgers. We already kind of know that guy. Looking at the Pittsburgh Steelers receivers, kind of a unusual situation compared to maybe what, if you've been watching Steelers games. DK Metcalf is obviously top dog. He's having a pretty solid season right now. So far, 22 receptions, 406 yards, 4 touchdowns, 79 grade, 79 receiving grade. It's a little bit inconsistent, 70, 60, 60, 90, 80, 60, but obviously a very dangerous receiver. The weird thing was the number 2, I mentioned this last night when going over some different stuff, betting stuff or whatever. Roman Wilson last week was their wide receiver 2. Calvin Austin, however, will be returning, who is their normal wide receiver 2. So Calvin Austin will be back. In addition to that, though, Scotty Miller will be out. Scotty Miller wasn't even listed on the injury report on Wednesday. He was limited on Thursday and then did not participate on Friday and is officially out. So they're going to have DK and Calvin Austin, and then they're going to have Roman Wilson as their wide receiver 3, with additional receivers being Ben Skoranek and Keyshawn Williams, although I don't think they'll end up getting that. They're pretty content to just force-feed DK and pretend nobody else on the team exists. But on a game-to-game basis, he gets between 3 and 5 receptions a game, which isn't actually a ton, all things considered. But in the last 3 weeks, he has not had less than 50 yards and has been up to 126 yards. Against Minnesota, 5 receptions, 126 yards, and a touchdown. He's had 1 touchdown in every game except Week 1 against the Jets and Week 7 against Cincinnati. He doesn't have 2, but he has 1 in the 4 other games. Calvin Austin, wide receiver 2, played weeks 1 through 4, has been, again, out with an injury ever since. 59 grades, 61 receiving grades, so, it's whatever. He's 5'8", 162, so he's a very small receiver out of Memphis. He was a 4th-round pick in 2022. Never really graded out very well, so he's kind of right on path with what he's been since he came into the league. 56, 65 were his grades over the last 2 years. Year 3 is kind of on that track. He's had 1, 2, 3, and 4 receptions in those 4 games, so anywhere in that range in between 13 and 70 yards. 10 receptions, 139, 2 touchdowns overall so far. And again, I don't anticipate too many other wide receiver targets. I mean, some, but not enough to super mention Roman Wilson. That said, however, the ball does get distributed to quite a few other people, just not necessarily receivers. Jonnu Smith is their 2nd most targeted receiver on the team. He has currently 117 yards and 2 touchdowns, 57 grade, 58 receiving grade. After that is running back Kenneth Gainwell, 55 receiving grade. Then running back Jaylen Warren. Jaylen Warren is RB1. We'll get there when we get there, but 80 overall grade and 88 receiving grade. He's obviously a pretty big asset for this team, especially as a receiver. And then you've got another tight end in Pat Freiermuth. He has 16 targets, 13 receptions, 187 yards, 2 touchdowns, 70 grade, 67 receiving grade. All told, you figure you got wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, tight end 1, tight end 2, halfback 1, halfback 2. That's kind of your receiving group, and that's why I don't really bring up Roman Wilson a ton, because you got to go all the way down to receiver number 8, more or less, by the time you get down to that. And of that group, you got DK 79 receiving grade, Warren with an 88, Freiermuth 67. Otherwise, From a production standpoint, DK is far and away above everybody else, 406 yards. After that, it's Pat Freiermuth and Jaylen Warren, tight end and running back there with 187 and 184. And then as far as touchdowns, DK with 4, Calvin Austin, Pat Freiermuth, and Jonnu Smith, each with 2. So that makes up primarily your receiving game. As far as the running goes, Jaylen Warren, again, top running back. He has 70 attempts. Kenneth Gainwell is their number 2 running back. He has 44. So that kind of shows you the split there. There is also RB3 Caleb Johnson. He has 14 carries. I don't know how much that's worth mentioning. Jaylen Warren, 311 yards. Gainwell, 190. Touchdowns, though, Gainwell has 3 compared to Jaylen Warren's 0, which is kind of weird because you'd think, okay, so Gainwell is like, the 225-pound banger and gets all the goal line carries? No. Jaylen Warren is 215. Gainwell is 200. 5'9", 200. So, no, that's not the case. Just is what it is, I guess. 4.4 yards per carry for Jaylen Warren, 4.3 for Kenneth Gainwell. So very similar there. Even their yards after contact per attempt are similar. 3.63 for Warren, 3.3 for Gainwell. Jaylen Warren, 22 missed tackles forced, Gainwell 10. Warren's longest carry was 37 yards. Gainwell is 15. Gainwell does seem to be more of a big play guy. He has 7 carries over 10 yards on his just 44 attempts. Jaylen Warren, with his 70 attempts, has 8, just 1 more. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back. I want to rip through their offensive line. It's going to be a very important part of this analysis, I guess. And then we'll flip over to defense, take a little gander at their special teams. We'll see where that leaves us. We'll be right back. All righty. At left tackle, the Steelers are stuck with Broderick Jones, 2023 first-round pick. He was number 14 overall selection. He's very bad. In his first 2 years, his run-blocking grades were 61 and 64. It's currently at a 50. So, is at least somewhat redeemable as a run blocker, although not this year. As a pass blocker, his first 2 years were 47 and 55. He's currently at 47. His best game was this past week against Cincinnati. He had a 67 pass blocking grade and a 59 run blocking grade. He's given up 4 sacks, 4 hits, 6 hurries, 95.2 pass blocking efficiency. He hasn't given up a sack since week 2, so, there's that. I'm sure a lot of that is Rodgers, more so than Broderick Jones, but it's not as though you should just expect everybody to get in there and get 10 sacks against the guy. But not a good left tackle. Okay, that's one. That's good. Left guard. We've got Isaac Seumalo. Isaac Seumalo is been in the league for quite a while. He was with Philly from 2016 to 2022 as a former third-round pick. He's been with Pittsburgh for 3 years. Very consistent. He's more of a run blocker than a pass blocker generally. 60s, high 60s and 70s generally as a run blocker. Right now he's at a 68. As a pass blocker, he kind of had a window 2020 through 2022 where the pass blocking was looking good. Since he got to Pittsburgh, though, not so much. 66, 63, and so far he's at a 69. To make matters even worse for them, it's very inconsistent. Now, you have to hope you don't catch him on a good day, because he's had pass blocking grades of 82 in week 1, 81 in week 3, run blocking grades of 89 in week 3, 70 in week 4, 82 in week 7. But if you don't just zip to all the positive games, you got pass blocking of 80, 60, 80, 40, 60, 50, run blocking 40, 40, 90, 70, 50, 80. So he's kind of all over the map, very inconsistent. He's only had one game where he was good in both. That was week 3 against New England. So we'll see. Hopefully we don't catch him on a good day. At center, they've got Zach Frazier, and that's kind of the weird one where, he's got an injury. He has a calf injury. He was limited Wednesday, didn't practice at all on Thursday, and then went back to being limited on Friday. He is questionable in this game. Zach Frazier is still, I was hoping not the case, a pretty good football player. He currently has a 63 run blocking grade and a 70 pass blocking grade. If he can't go, it looks like Ryan McCollum will be the backup. McCollum is pretty awful. His 2 years so far, he's had a 36 and 41 pass blocking grade, or grades. So that would be massive if Zach Frazier can't go for Ryan McCollum. I'm expecting Zach Frazier to play, but pay attention to that on Sunday, because that's pretty devastating for them. At right guard, they have Mason McCormick. McCormick is a solid run blocker, at least this year. We don't know much about him because he's a 4th-round pick in 2024. This is year 2, so everything's kind of new. But it looks like he's taken a massive step as a run blocker. He had a 54 run blocking grade. That's up to a 72. Unfortunately, though, his pass blocking got worse. It was a 63. It's down to a 53. Week 1 was a 70-ish, and then it was 30, 30, 80, 50, 50. So he's had 4 pretty bad performances with one very good one, week 4 against Minnesota. If we're going to have Micah Parsons kind of line up in the middle and screw with some guards, I wouldn't mind it being this guy. And then finally, we've got Mr. Troy Fautanu over at right tackle, another first-round pick. Another first-round pick that does not appear to be panning out very well. Troy Fautanu, you might remember from the 2024 class, a lot of talk about him. Don't remember my position on him, but I know there was talk about the Packers possibly going after him. Year 1 as a rookie, he had a 59 run blocking grade. That is down to a 54 run blocking grade. His pass blocking as a rookie was a 69. That's down to a 61. So he is not off to a fantastic start. His run blocking grades by week have been 40, 40, 70, 50, 60, 50. So one good game. Pretty much every other game was at least below average. There was 161 in there, but that's about it. It's been bad. Pass blocking, 70, 50, 50, 50, 60, 70. And one of the 70s I rounded up, it was actually a 69. So he had his first actual good game of the season last week as a pass blocker. Otherwise, it's all been bad. So it's not a good offensive line. It's really not. I mean, this is. I can't say it's worse than what he had with the Jets, I don't exactly remember that situation, but it's certainly worse than what he had generally with the Green Bay Packers, as much as everybody wants to make him out to be a victim, and he didn't have first-round picks and at wide receiver. Dude had elite receivers and elite offensive lines his entire career, so this is a very different situation for him. Also, should probably be pointed out there, left tackle Broderick Jones seems to be actively trying to kill Aaron Rodgers. We saw the situation where he tried to celebrate with Rodgers and then he fell on top of him and Rodgers wanted to kill him. That's the guy protecting his blind side. Hilarious. Alrighty, defense time. They certainly have some good players on defense, but I don't want to get it confused and have people thinking that everything about this is elite, because that's not the case. They've got several players that are exceedingly good at football, but there are some weaknesses here. First of all, defensive tackle Cam Hayward, 36 and a half years old, still going strong. He currently has a 90 PFF grade, 81 run defense, 77 tackling, 81 pass rush. Stats aren't fantastic. 18 pressures on 194 attempts and 2 sacks, but the grades would indicate that he's doing a good job. Outside of that, however, is where things get a little bit ugly. Keanu Benton, second-round pick in 2023, is off to a terrible start. Former Wisconsin Badger, actually had a solid rookie season. He's a pure pass rusher at 310 pounds, which doesn't make any sense. I say that because in his rookie year, he had a 59 run defense grade, but an 83 pass rush grade. Stats, again, were not good. He was sub 10% and 1 sack, but they loved what he was doing. Someone's at the front door. Year 2, very similar. The grade went down from a 77 to a 70. His pass rush grade went down from an 83 to a 77, but that's still decent despite the fact that his stats, again, sucked. Way below 10% and 2 sacks. The problem is his run defense got even worse. It went from a 59, basically average, down to a 47 with a 38 tackling grade. Terrible. Now, he went from a 70 overall to a 54. Run defense went down again to a 39. His pass rush went down again, this time to a 72. Still grades out fine, but 10 pressures on 172 attempts, which is terrible. However, he has 3 sacks, which is as many as he's had in his entire career through the first 2 years. So the pass rush grade is there. The stats are not, which is what the fans are primarily going to care about. And the run defense is appalling. Then they've got 2025 first-round pick Derek Harmon, guy that a lot of people really wanted the Packers to get. He went at pick 21. He had his first decent game against Cincinnati week 7. He's only played 4 games. He had an 89 run defense grade in that game, but that was his first. He has a 57 overall grade, 57 run defense, and 60 pass rush. He does have 12 pressures on 120 attempts, so exactly 10%, and 3 sacks. So the sack numbers are relatively high. Pressure numbers are not. Overall grades in every category are not great. Harmon might eventually explode. Maybe he already has as of week 7. Hopefully that hasn't happened yet, and there's really not much to worry about with Derek Harmon. Then you get to the edge, and this is where you really start to get afraid. TJ Watt, 31 years old, still playing at a high level, though. It is a bit of a bad year by his standards. He had a 92 PFF grade last year that's down to a 78. His 90 run defense grade is down to a 79. His 90 pass rush grade is down to a 78. He has 23 pressures on 212 attempts, which is basically just 10%. He does have 5 sacks already, which is a pretty good number, but including a sack in every game the last 4 weeks. But relatively pedestrian considering it's TJ Watt. And as far as the week to week, it's been, as far, looking at overall grades, 80, 70, 50, 70, 80, 60. So, not playing at that mega elite level like he generally does. Still good, though. Then you got Nick Herbig, one of the more underrated pass rushers in football, another former Wisconsin Badger. He is a 4th-round pick from 2023. Right now, he is significantly better than TJ Watt. This is another one of those guys that is dominant and nobody really respects him enough. His rookie year, he had an 81 grade. Year 2 was an 81 grade. This year, 91. His pass rush has been 82, 92, and 91 so far in his 3 years. He has 23 pressures on 171 attempts and 5 sacks. 91 overall, 68 run defense, 91 pass rush, and even 88 coverage grade in his 14 coverage snaps. So this guy is lethal. Make no mistake about that. After that in the rotation is Alex Highsmith. Highsmith, we're very fortunate, is also taking a bit of a step back. He's had some injury issues that maybe are still bugging him. I'm not really sure. He's another guy that's a little bit up in age, but not terrible. He's 28, so I don't think that's really affecting him. But in 2023 and 2024, he was in the 90s. Right now, his grade is a 66. He's only played in 4 games, really 3. One of them he only played 10 snaps because of an injury. In those 3 games, he had one that was good, and that was week 6 against Cleveland. That was his first week back. So week 1 against the Jets, he had a 55 grade. Then it was 84 his first game back, and then against Cincinnati, it dropped again to a 57. He currently is at a 67 overall, 63 run defense, 73 pass rush. He has 10 pressures and 2 sacks and 89 attempts. The stats are fine. The grades are not really at his standard, but very small sample size. Certainly a guy that I would say you should be a little bit concerned about. And then you have Jack Sawyer, 4th round pick, and another rookie. Being the number 4 guy has obviously been a benefit. I don't know that anybody is in a more beneficial situation than Jack Sawyer being behind the guys that he's behind. Just incredible group of guys. He's at almost a 70 grade so far. 64 run defense, 73 pass rush, 7 pressures and a sack on 57 attempts. So not a lot of exposure, but he's doing pretty well, all things considered. At linebacker, you have Patrick Queen and Peyton Wilson. This is not a good group of linebackers. Patrick Queen, he kind of had a little bit of a thing going on in Baltimore for a while. I think they had a new group of coaches run through, and he was really getting the best out of them. He went from a 20 grade to a 40 to a 69 to a 73. And then Pittsburgh's like, all right, we want him. He went back down to a 56, and so far right now he's at a 47 grade. 47 overall, 69 run defense, 48 tackling, 73 pass rush, and 32 coverage. He has given up 291 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, and a pass breakup, 114 passer rating when targeted. So, not the greatest. And then Peyton Wilson, really, really popular pick for the Green Bay Packers, had a very good rookie season, which I think made people feel vindicated and yell at Brian Gutekunst for not doing what they wanted. 74 grade. He's currently at a 44. Seems to be slowly improving as the season is going on, but he's got a heck of a climb to fix those grades. 44 overall, 47 run defense, 74 tackling, 51 pass rush, and 47 coverage. So the linebackers are really, they have been a massive liability for Pittsburgh so far this season. Peyton Wilson also has given up 2 touchdowns this season, in addition to 224 yards on 22 receptions. Their 3 corners are number 1, Darius Slay. Darius Slay, almost 35 years old. This is a very old defense. He's been up and down, long-time Detroit Lion guy, spent a lot of time at Philly. This is his first year in Pittsburgh. Currently 55 PFF grade. That's his lowest since his rookie year with Detroit. 44 or 45 run defense, 41 tackling, and 56 coverage grade. This last week against Cincinnati was his worst game. 29.6 grade, 28 run defense, 27 tackling, 33 coverage. Just terrible across the board. So far given up 302 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 picks, 3 pass breakups, 130 passer rating when targeted. Then on the opposite side, they have Joey Porter Jr., the 2023 second-round pick. He been pretty average throughout his career to subpar. His rookie year was a 65 grade that went down to a 55. His coverage went from a 66 to a 56. This year, it's been a very rough start. He had injuries weeks 2, 3, 4, 5, or whatever their bye week was, whatever. He played week 1, had a 32 grade. It was terrible. He came back week 6, had a bounce-back game against Cleveland, 82 overall, 86 coverage. And then against Cincinnati, he was 51 and 52 overall in coverage. For the season, 61, 44 run defense, 65 coverage. In his 3 games, he's given up 82 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 3 pass breakups so far. And then finally, their slot corner is none other than Mr. Jalen Ramsey. Guy's been around a long time, former first round, number 5 overall pick in 2016. Right now, 65 overall grade. It's not super uncharacteristic. He kind of had his run. He's always been very up and down. It was 70, 90, 70, 70, 70, 80, 80. That was kind of his heyday with Jacksonville and LA. His first 60 grade was his first year with Miami in 2023. Then it kind of bounced back like 77. Okay, great. Now Pittsburgh back to 65. But 65 overall, 75 run defense, 60 coverage. In fact, week 1 was an 88 cover grade. Since then, 60, 60, 70, 40, 30. He's given up 245 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick, 4 pass breakups so far this season. He's another guy that's in his 30s at 31 years old. So very, very old group of guys. His defense is going to absolutely implode very soon. Then at safety, they have a starting 2, but looking at the snap counts, it looks like they rotate 3 around. So I don't know exactly how that works. Maybe we'll get an understanding of that tomorrow. But Juan Thornhill seems to be their top guy. Strangely, his grade has, well, I guess since he left Kansas City, it hasn't been super great. He is also 30 years old, again, so that doesn't help anything. But he was pretty much in the 70s every year with his 4 years in Kansas City. Went to Cleveland, dropped down to a 66, the next year 66. Now he's in Pittsburgh, and it's down to a 50 grade. 50 overall, 56 run defense, 72 tackling, 50 coverage. Giving up 135 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks, 1 pass breakup, 148 passer rating when targeted. Deshaun Elliott is another guy. He's been around a lot of different places. 3 years at Baltimore, 1 year Detroit, 1 year Miami, and now 2 years at Pittsburgh. Grades out pretty well, but he's more of just your run defender, tackler type of guy. That's where he always kind of grades out well. He has a 75 and 71 grade in those 2 categories, but a 64 coverage. He's not bad at it. It's just not primarily his emphasis, I guess you would say. He is even listed here as a strong safety. So he's going to be more in the box type of a guy. And then the third guy that's taken a decent amount of snaps is Chuck Clark, 31 years old. Spent a bunch of years in Baltimore, 1 year with the Jets, and now his first year in Pittsburgh. 66 overall, 67 run defense, 64 coverage. 7 targets, 7 receptions, just 48 yards. No touchdowns, no interceptions, 1 pass breakup. So there's that. So defensive tackles, there's some questions there. You got one dominant guy and a couple guys that I can't really tell. Maybe they're a liability. Maybe they're good. I'm not sure. The edge is terrifying. It just is. They're very good football players. And the depth is even solid. Linebackers are, at least so far, bad. There's a potential that Peyton Wilson kind of is getting back into his groove. But as of right now, these guys are just bad at football. The corners are not great. They're old and just kind of a shell of their former selves. And the safeties are okay. That's kind of the summary that I would go with. Special teams appears to be very good, just looking at their grades. I'm not going to go through it all, but, the amount of guys they have up in the high 60s to 70s to 80s is higher than what I'm used to seeing. As far as their kick returners, Kenneth Gainwell has been used as their kickoff returner. He does have a 71 grade, so he seems to be doing fairly well. 9 returns, 241 yards, 27 average. As for their punt return, Kayshawn Williams seems to be their top guy. He also has a 70 grade, so seems to be doing a pretty good job. 5 returns, 57 yards. Go ahead.
Someone is at the front door.
17 yards was his longest, 11.4 average. Their kicker, Chris Boswell, has a 91 kicking grade, so obviously that's not a concern for them. He's 100% on their extra points, 10 of 12 on field goals, 83%. He did miss one in the 30-yard range. Possibly it was blocked. I don't really know the situation there. And then the other one was in the 50-plus yard range. Punter, not as adored by PFF. Corliss Waitman, literally never heard of him before. Is he new? I've never heard of him. 2020. He's been around, apparently. I've never heard of Corliss Waitman. Anywho, 59 grade, 41-yard net punt average. 64 was his long, 4.44 average hang time. So there you go. All right, let's take our final break. I want to come back with any additional little news and notesy things that I can find here. Otherwise, we'll do something else. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. All right, Packers released their injury report, so let's take a look. I'm seeing a lot of people freaking out about this, which isn't great, so we'll see what happens here. Let's go ahead and do the thing for effect. Banks, Belton, Brinson, now listed on here in addition. Matthew Golden popping up on the injury report, which absolutely sucks. He is actually questionable in the frickin' game. Oh, my Lord. Brinson and Golden. Hobbs, Jacobs, McKinney, McManus, Morgan, Tom, Van Ness, Walker, Watson, Wicks, Williams, and Wyatt. All right, so I won't beat around the bush too much here. Warren Brinson is questionable. Matthew Golden is questionable. Brandon McManus is questionable. Christian Watson is questionable. Devontae Wyatt is questionable. Lucas Van Ness and Dontavian Wicks are out. I mean, this could get pretty bad. If Watson can't go and Wicks is out and Golden is out, I mean, I'm not predicting that, but that is a possibility. This could get real ugly real fast. So we'll see how it goes, man. I mean, the wide receiver situation is getting grim. Certainly would love to get Wyatt back if at all possible. I mean, we might end up with great news. You know, if all the questionables play, then not only do we not have to worry about Golden, but having Golden and Watson on the field at the same time, as well as Watson or Wyatt there, and McManus is back. Not that anybody is worried about our kicking situation, but which of the questionables play and don't play is going to make a massive difference in how good I'm feeling about this situation. I suppose we can focus on the good news here. Aaron Banks, Anthony Belton, Nate Hobbs, Josh Jacobs, Xavier McKinney, Jordan Morgan, Zach Tom, Quay Walker, Evan Williams, completely full go. And there were some genuine concerns there. If Aaron Banks can't go, not that he's been my favorite, but not having an offensive lineman is a serious problem. Nate Hobbs, same situation. Josh Jacobs, very bad situation if we didn't have him. Morgan and Tom, especially Zach Tom, super scary. McKinney and Williams, both on the injury report. They're both full go. That's great news. Quay Walker, not that it's been really in question. He's been full participant all week, but still, there is some good news there. So we will take it as such. Let's do this. This might be more of a tomorrow thing, but not really. So let's just do it now since we have some time. So I did some sleuthing around, and I found a couple things that I was not super encouraged by from a general statistical standpoint. Let's look at a couple different things. As far as this matchup goes, Packers are favored by between 3 and 3.5 points. They initially opened at 3.5, but dropped to -3 because of a lot of professional money being pushed to the Steelers. Steelers are coming off a humiliating loss to Flacco and the Cincinnati Bengals. That's sort of a good thing if you think about it. You know, you want them to play poorly and all that kind of stuff. Unfortunately, though, the track record of Tomlin coming off a loss like that is not great. Couple different things. Mike Tomlin's record as a home underdog. And remember, we're barely favorites in this game. Home underdog across the board. That could be 10-point underdog. It's just across the board. 21-7-3 against the spread as a home underdog. As an underdog, period, he has a 55% win rate. So you take a pissed off Steelers team coming off a divisional loss in a somewhat must-win situation against a team that Rodgers very much wants to beat, in an environment where Mike Tomlin very much overperforms, is not my favorite situation. In addition, the Steelers last played on Thursday, giving them a rest advantage. They've got a 10-day rest for an upcoming home game. Since the start of last season, when the Pittsburgh Steelers have a rest advantage, they're 5-0 against the spread. Adding to Rodgers wanting to beat this team, it also would go down historically as only the fifth quarterback to have defeated all 32 teams, so it's another notch on his belt. The Packers, on the other hand, have not covered the spread in 4 straight weeks. Now, the spread doesn't matter. You can not cover the spread and still win, but the fact that it's such a close game, it's going to be very hard to not cover the spread and not lose that game. So we'll have maybe a little bit more on this type of stuff tomorrow. But suffice it to say, despite the fact that the Packers are like 54.5% odds to win and 3-point favorites or whatever it's sitting at today, first of all, that's basically a coin flip game either way. But, it's not my favorite thing that every little detail that you look at kind of favors the Steelers. Not to mention, just in general, the Packers have struggled on the road big time. I mean, they've got 1 win this season on the road. They have a win, a tie, and a loss. The loss came against a really bad team. The win came against a mediocre team. The tie came against a team that, good offense, but not exactly a powerhouse team overall. So we definitely don't need the injury report working against us because the Steelers are basically healthy. They're ready to rock and roll. They're healthy, they're pissed, they're at home, they're motivated. We can't be banged up and sloppy. That ain't gonna work. So, all right, I'm gonna leave you with that. I'm gonna get out of here. You all have a good rest of your day. I'll talk to you tomorrow, whatever. Have a good one. Bye-bye.